Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where it is Thanksgiving week, which, as most people have said to me this week, I know it's not a thankful time in your house, so just do the best you can. And I think that's fair for people that are in the know of what we've got going on in life. They're self-aware enough to realize that it's just not going to be a happy time for us.
Ever for Thanksgiving. And I think you're right. I mean, we're just doing the best that we can. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm not going to get it right. I don't know if there is a right, but every night I lay down, crawl in bed, and we say to each other, made it through another day.
Made it through another day.
I think that's all anybody can do, honestly. Like, regardless of your situation, you just do the best you can every day.
You know what? It just hit me, and we'll talk about this maybe later, but you did a TikTok today that was really good. And so I encourage anyone, if they're not following you on TikTok, to do that. But you talked about a couple different things. And I kept saying to you, there was something else you talked about. There was something else you talked about. And you talked about the fact that we're just souls in a body here on earth. And I was doing my Christian meditation with Pastor Dave today. I was listening to that. And he was talking very much today about we're just a soul in a body. So the fact that I was listening to that over my lunch hour today, and then you did a TikTok on it this afternoon, was a reaffirmation that I have been thinking about a lot lately, is that when people realize Hallie's living her best life now because she was a soul and a body on earth, and that's what we are. So when we say we made it through another day, our earthly bodies made it through another day, but like there is so much more out there that we are looking forward to. And if we don't have that mindset, it makes it that much harder.
It helps me to keep that mindset. It kind of removes yourself, pulls yourself out of it, that you're here to experience life. And that means life's ups and downs. And then you move on to the next thing. Hopefully that's heaven, right? And it kind of neutralizes a situation a little bit and kind of lets you zoom out. I love that analogy too. Like when in doubt, zoom out. And I think that can be applied here if I keep reminding myself, like I'm here for this experience and this journey and to learn as much as I can, but this isn't the end. In our sermon this past week at church, it was probably the best one that I have ever heard that just directly spoke to me. And they talked about the person that in her casket, she wanted to have a fork in her hand, because she wanted people to ask, like, why does she have a fork in her hand? And she wanted them to tell them, because the best is yet to come. She's saving it for dessert. You're always saving something, you're not eating as much to save for the best thing, which is dessert. And so it's that same philosophy of like, the best is yet to come. So I have to keep reminding myself of that 77 times a day. I have to remind myself when I'm sinking. And sometimes I'll sink for weeks. And that's also, I tell myself, okay, because this is so hard to navigate.
I would just agree with you. We came out of church on Sunday in summer, you, myself, other people that I've run into since then, like that was the best sermon that we've ever had. And I've been going to that church for 16, 17 years, a long time now. And it was so good talking about basically.
Well, let's just dive into it because it does apply to, I think, what we're going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Because one of the things that he said was that the Philippians verse, I don't know which one.
Philippians 4:13, which is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And the title of the sermon is the Bible verse that so many people misunderstand, because we apply that to whatever circumstance we're in. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But really what that is about is zooming out, right? Like you've already mentioned, it's zooming out to the entire chapter that is Philippians chapter 4. And Paul's in jail. So he's not in the best of circumstances, but he's talking about, I can find joy in Jesus, whether I'm in a bad situation or a good situation.
So I would reword that a little bit. I agree, joy. But I think the word that he used, because I will just say for like a grieving mom, joy is like, are you effing kidding me? Like, how can I feel joy when I'm grieving? But what he really dove into was contentment. And I think that word resonated with me. Like, okay, I can try to be content with the circumstances. I can try to be strong with the shit that's thrown at me and the goodness. And that like I can carry that. Like I can get behind that a little bit, right? Like, okay, that doesn't put pressure on me to feel one way or the other. Contentment just means I'm okay.
I made it through another day.
I'm content with the bullshit that was dealt to me. You know what I mean? And so like, I think that's also why I love the talk track, because it's thinking about like, I'll be content here. You're not requiring me to feel like, oh my God, everything's so great. You're not that toxic positivity crap that I don't want to feel right now. But I know that the best is yet to come and it's not going to be here. Right? Like I can get behind that message. And I think that's why it felt true to me. And I can connect with that sort of, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. It means that I can get through this.
There was a great sermon, and it's actually they have a Crossing sermon series on Apple and Spotify, and so you can listen to it. But they just posted it earlier this week. It really, really good. So then we took that, and we had later that day, the kids came over, and we did like a Thanksgiving for the first time ever with just our kids, because oddly, we've never done that. Thanksgiving is just something where if Angie never has her kids on the actual day, and then my kids sometimes were here, sometimes they weren't. So we always kind of celebrated at your mom's when your mom does her big Thanksgiving the Saturday after. And so somehow, some way, we haven't had kids for dinner for a while, and we just decided, let's have kids over the Sunday night before Thanksgiving and do a family dinner. And that turned into an initial shit show, because we said, let's not do a traditional turkey. We're going to have a lot of turkey next week. So let's do something different. Carter wanted Chinese. He loves Chinese food. Doesn't get it that often. Well, then Dane was upset about that because he doesn't like Chinese. And Lexi didn't really like Chinese. Her boyfriend didn't like Chinese. Then Carter complained that we weren't going to order it in, that we were going to actually make the Chinese. Well, it won't be as good. So we had a very Mexican food family Thanksgiving is what we did. And everybody loved to have the Mexican food for Thanksgiving. And that's what we did, and had a fun time with the kids. I mean, I think you said to me afterwards, I was able to find some joy in that.
Well, the funny thing was we have this group text going on all the time with the kids, and you just never know. Like, you never know what they're going to say, what they're going to have opinions about. So it's a little bit entertaining. And then there's also times that you're like, oh God, this is not
shut it down. Shut it down.
And then, you come in hot and tell them to shut it down because it sounds like they're getting into it. And then they're like, what? This is just how we talk. Okay. But on the group text, we said, the crew Thanksgiving, +1.
Right.
So a couple of the kids have boyfriends or girlfriends, Lexi and Carson. Carter's dating Viv. Summer's dating Austin. And Dane now has a girlfriend, and he's 14. So we never it never hit me that he's going to assume that it's +1. So on Sunday, he's like, oh, my girlfriend's coming over. It was just like this shock, like, oh shit, he thinks that applies to him too. Okay. So we have 13 of us total. Jason's the only one right now that does not have a girlfriend, and he says he's waiting until he turns 16. So watch out, because he's going to turn 16 in 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens.
He's going to be ready to go at that point.
Here's what we have started doing. It started at Christmas last year to engage the kids. So I think some parents, have the mentality of like, I'm not here to entertain the kids. Well, I feel differently about that. I do think part of our job is to bring the kids together, right? And I think during the holidays, it's so easy for them to like, especially when they're dating, have a boyfriend or girlfriend, it's easy for them to get locked into their own conversations versus like having a game to play or something. So we've started doing games. And kudos to Aric. You came up with the cahoots idea, and we'll dive into what that is. But basically, we come up with questions with the answers, and the kids have to guess it. But it's an app, or you go online. You don't have to pay for an app. It's free. There's a free version. There's a paid version. Obviously, you get more features with the paid version, but we just did the free version. And we came up with 20 questions to ask the kids about our family, about the crew. And it was also great because you've got, boyfriends and girlfriends, and they also get to learn about our family. But the kids answer the questions on their phone. So you bring it up on your smart TV, you cast it basically from your laptop or your phone. And then the kids scan the QR code on their phone and it pops up, and then the game starts and they answer the questions on their phone. And you can see each time who's in the lead. And it's kids are competitive. Our kids are all competitive.
Yep.
So they were totally getting into this game. We did mess up, and 2 of the questions we had the wrong answers.
That's on us. That was our fault. They were not happy with us. Yeah.
No, but it was fun. And like the funny thing is, when we were getting ready to eat dinner, Chase was like, I'm super tired. Like after we eat, I'm probably just going to go to my room. But then we played the game, and it engages everybody. Everybody's sitting around in the living room, and he was totally in it. And we ended up
throw $10 on it, then every kid's really in it.
Money out there. They're really into it. So once we got through the 20 questions, then you can also just play like regular trivia and answer the questions. So we end up playing that game. It was just fun. The kids loved it. So I would just challenge you, like you got kids at home, you're trying to get them engaged, play a game with them, and they will end up getting into it.
It was fun.
And having fun.
Now you've started on a new Kahoot. It is kind of hard to come up with the questions.
Yeah. So some of the questions we asked, that one of them we got wrong was, how many times has Lexi gotten her ears pierced? And hell, we had that wrong. We had 1, but we forgot that she ended up going with Summer. And did Hallie go too? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I had forgotten that. Yeah.
So we had that question wrong. But then we just asked different questions about trips we've been on, like how many siblings I have, how many siblings does Lexi and Carter have, because they've got multiple blended families, and just fun stuff like that. And yeah, they all got a kick out of it, and it was
things
fun.
Things about like one that was fun was we'd been on several trips, but like we don't all call them family vacations, because sometimes like Lexi or Hallie wouldn't go, sometimes Carter hasn't been. And so we asked directly, like, what about a family vacation trip? And where's one place we've been that was a family vacation that wasn't to where our home in Florida is? But we had other cities that we had visited with the kids. And so that threw everybody off, because they were trying to figure out which trip was it was fun.
It's multiple choice too. So you come up with the answers as you're creating it. So you can have fun answers as well, and you can add pictures. So Aric had some great pictures for each one of them too. So it was fun. Just to share an idea you can do.
Thank you for pointing that out, because I was not making good sense there. So for Angie to point out that it was multiple choice is helpful. Thank you. And if you want to play it with your family, Kahoot, KAHOOT.com. You go there, set up an account, and there you go. So we had a good time with that. And so now we get back into this week, and it's a difficult week because everyone else is celebrating Thanksgiving, but we are dealing with the 2-year anniversary of getting the call that changed our lives forever. And then Hallie's angelversary 2 days later. And so it's a lot that goes with this week, right? Watching so many of your family, your friends, your coworkers celebrating a holiday. And for Angie and myself, it just isn't that way. And so, you've done some great things this week. I mentioned the TikTok that you released earlier today. You've written a beautiful blog already this week that I think we can cover. I mean, it's just been, we have a lot going on. And again, I think unless I said to somebody today, I would never wish this on anyone.
Yeah, I've been it's a slower week, so I have more time to process and think. And that's also where the creativity comes from. Like when you write, it's really when you can spend time really feeling everything. I mentioned that in the TikTok too. I think we all do it when you are anticipating something being so painful, or you have gone through something so painful and you're trying to protect yourself from feeling that again. You armor up. And I recognize it when I do it, but it's also a safety mechanism for me. So this past month has been hard. It's been so hard because I am armoring up. And I will also say that I recognize throughout this whole journey that the process of leading up to an event or a milestone or a hardcore memory, you armor up, and that probably is more painful because of the anxiety, the stress, the armor, all of that, than the actual event. Because when the actual event, whether it's a 1 year, 2 year, or birthday or holiday, doesn't feel any different than the day before or the day after, because the pain of that extreme loss will never go away, ever. And I think that's so hard. I think back to the victim statement and the sentencing hearing, and to hear another mom who still has their son talk about their son not eating dinner with them. That still is a moment I will never forget, because it's like, you have no idea. You have no idea that this pain that I will carry with me for fucking ever, forever, it will never lessen. But you will get to move on, and you will get to see your son live his life. And I think that's the hardest part for me to accept, to navigate all of it, is that I will carry this with me. It's hard for other people to accept too. And I think that's honestly like where you and I struggle. And that's kind of what my blog post was about, is that people don't really, over time, they don't really want you to carry it this. It's true. Like I've said this before, like, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I get it. I 100% get it. But there's an acceptance of like, this pain will always be there. And Aric had asked me the other day if there was someone else, because the armor's up, the walls are up, and we've been struggling. I mean, maybe one day we'll dive into that, but it's hard. It breaks you. Like, it has broken our marriage. It's broken me. It's broken you. Like, you're going through this whole life transformation of who you are, and it's awesome to see and witness, but it has broke me. And I don't know who I will become from this. I don't know yet. Like, it's not something that happens overnight. And I also don't let that armor down overnight either. I say over and over, Aric, I cannot take any more pain. Like, I just can't. I just don't feel like I can carry any more pain. And so that's where the armor comes from, is to protect myself from any pain, because I just don't feel like I can take anymore. And so I haven't written a blog post in a while. So, this week it's like, I got to get out my thoughts. And so I wrote one about that, about Aric asking me if there's someone else. I'll just read it to you.
It's beautiful writing.
Is there someone else? He asked. And as hard as the truth is to admit, the words come out. Yes. Yes, there is someone and something else. She and this thing have taken over my life. She and this thing consumes my every thought. She and this thing are the first thing I think of when I wake up. She and this thing tuck me gently in at night when I go to sleep. And she and this thing speaks directly to my soul to keep going. She and this thing make me cry every day. She and this thing makes me laugh sometimes. She and this thing make me angry because this thing exists. She and this thing make me feel love while I hurt. And she and this thing have changed who I am. She and this thing have unraveled me so much that I feel lost. She and this thing nudge me in the quiet air, showing me that they're always there. She and this thing have reprioritized what I care about. She and this thing have forced me to gaze deep into my own soul, seeing beauty, but also ugliness. She and this thing have broken my heart into a million pieces. She is my Hallie, and this thing is grief. And forever, there will be someone else. And given the choice, I would choose grief over not feeling at all. Forever, Hallie's mom. But it's true, and I think that's what's so hard to navigate, is that there's always going to be this big thing that is consuming me. And it's hard to figure out, how do you navigate around that thing and that someone else that never existed before, but now they're here and they are not going away.
Well, I think that kind of parlays into what you and I talked about laying in bed last night, where I tried to explain to you that for me, this is a heartbreak that I watch on you every day. And so for me, loving you has been the greatest gift that I've ever had, and your kids. And I mean, I was telling a friend today that, meeting you has been the greatest time in my life. And so even though we're in this pain, I wouldn't trade the pain. I wouldn't trade the good days before all this pain started 2 years ago. And so to see the person that I love the most in the world, which is you, and I do want to point out, I think that this is like a fact of life. Moms love their children the most. And I think that good husbands and dads, while we love our children, we love our wives the most. And I think that's biblical. I think that that's just how it works, that moms are going to take care of the family. Dads are going to take care of the wife and the family, but it's different, right? Moms grew these babies in their bodies. And so for me to watch Angie suffer and go through the pain, and I'm not able to fix it. We've had that conversation. Like that's a long-term conversation we've had over the last 2 years. And I do understand that better than ever, is that I can't fix it. And so to see the person that you love more than anything break daily, which is pretty accurate. It's pretty much a daily break that I see, and to see the pain in her face and the pain in her eyes. I could look at a photo and I can tell you if it's when Hallie was alive or since we've lost her in Angie's face. I can tell you immediately when it was taken. And so for me, that's painful, because I do want to be able to, I still want to have a life with my wife. I keep saying, even if it's in this grief, because she's my favorite person. And I was talking to my trainer today. My trainer and I, we had our trainer, Michael Agnew, on a long time ago. He's he's got a lot of inspiration. And we were just talking today about the 2 years and talking about both of us, how love is. I said, I do think love is a choice. And he agreed, like, you're not going to feel it every day. You're not going to lust for your partner over the years. It's a choice. And then he said something that I think was very poignant, like Michael would do. He said, at the end of the day, it's being willing to suffer for and with someone, because Jesus talks about that often, right? It's not about loving someone who's a great person all the time. Even the sinners do that. It's about being able to love someone that's hard to love. It's about being able to love someone who's in the suck, who's in the suffer. And we both agreed on that. Like, yes, love is a choice, but it's also a choice of really being able to sit and suffer with people that you love. And sometimes people that you don't even know if you love or not, but you are willing to sit in it. And that's being Jesus-like. And if you don't have a trainer that's giving you those kind of words of wisdom while he's working out your body, you don't have a great trainer. Okay. Because I do love working out with him for the conversation that we have as much as the workouts. So we also said this week, we were just talking about, you referenced earlier this journey that I'm on. You don't know where your journey is going to take you, but this journey that I'm on, and you said, so you would say that Hallie dying has made you a better person. And I would say 100%. I would tell her that. Sometimes when I'm talking to her, I say that. I still talk to Hallie. I mean, I do. I like to nap on her spot on the screened-in porch, and I always talk to her when I'm falling asleep, taking my naps. I talk to her regularly, and I tell her, I'm like, yes, I know that you love this because you always said that you're better than everyone else. And so I know that you love that you've made me this better man. But I also think that's why I just feel this special bond with her, this relationship. And I do think that she woke me up last night around 2:00 and just said, I woke up to this female that wasn't you that said, are you with me? Which is the title of your new book, which came to you in a similar way when Jesus, we believe Jesus said that to you in the middle of the night. So kind of crazy, but nothing should surprise us with God.
Yeah, that's definitely how the title came about for the second book, was in the middle of the night, being awake because of the voice, are you with me? And I think that's what I try to remind myself of, especially in challenging, painful, heartbreaking times the next couple of days, of like, okay, God's with me, Hallie's with me. I can be content. I can do all things and get through this. I am going to meet my mom and dad out at Phoenix's barn. They have not seen Phoenix since, gosh, she was like 3 months old, maybe. She's huge now. And they're both not big. Well, they're scared of horses, but it doesn't matter when it's Phoenix and it's something connected back to Hallie. So I'm looking forward to meeting them out there for a little bit and just spend a little bit of time with Phoenix, and just going to get through it. I mean, we have no choice but to try to navigate it. And I'm going to constantly be praying for strength and to try to see. I don't know really what I want to see. Like when I pray, it's more of like, just help me get through this. Like, help me be strong. Help me show other people that they can get through hard times. And that's about it. Like, just allow me to get through it. Because the other thing that's really weighing on me and hard is the twins are turning 16. And that's a big deal for me because they have kept me going the last 2 years. And as they should, they are very excited about getting their license. And it's so much freedom that they will gain to be able to just go to their friends. And I won't have the car rides with them, which is where I learn all the good stuff or the bad stuff that's happened to them that day. And it's just, I feel the anxiety about that stage. I'm excited for them, but I also am worried for me, but I pray too that I'll be able to not feel that heaviness, and something will come along that I'll be focused on, and I don't know.
Figure out what that is.
Like, me.
I would just say, I do. There is this part of me that I watch you be this great mother, but all of us in life, it's part of we're a soulless body, right? We're doing this together. And I think that you and I can create beautiful things together in this next phase of our life, because all of our kids are going to move on to something else. It'll be another year and a half, and then Dane's driving. Then all the kids are pretty self-sufficient at that point. And it is. I laugh, and I'm in the corner like, I'm over here. Pick me. And I said to you the other day, I said, I get it. Like in this marriage, like there's been, during after Hallie died, and really it was 6 months to a year after Hallie died, then I didn't take good care of myself physically. And so I am doing that. I said to you, I was like, I'm literally the best version of myself that I've ever been in my entire life. I hope that you'll want to get to know me when this happens, when the kids head out, because I really think that just like when you and I first met and we created this beautiful family. I was talking to a friend today and they said, I've still to this day not been to a wedding that had so many people in tears.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it was so beautiful to watch those our families come together. And I just think that you and I, God has put us here so that we can continue to make something beautiful happen for other people. That may be suffering with other people.
Yeah.
But that's where my heart is.
I agree. I absolutely think there's a new chapter for us. I think it's just different I know it's different when you lose a child and then shortly after you're also letting go of the other two children that you have and letting them spread their wings. And that just feels like a whole nother loss for me. And I also know that when I talk about that, it makes you feel like you're, chopped liver sitting over here. But there's an extreme difference between your husband and your children. And there's a different sense of connection with them. It's totally different.
100%.
It's totally different. And so it just feels like I am having to go through a whole nother level of letting go. And they're my babies that are all, then it's like that whole stage of life that I was in for so many years is also changing.
Sure.
In the middle of two holidays, in the middle of Hallie's birthday and Thanksgiving when we lost her, it's like so much. And it might be completely amazing. It's this anticipation, right?
It might be. It will be.
I mean, let's just hope they drive safe. Like
yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
And then they're not going to be home that much. There's all of it, so again, I always tell Aric, like, you are just going to have patience for this process that I'm going through, because their kids are only young once too. And so now I'm like trying to hold on to every minute that I have with them because I know it's fleeting and it changes so quick.
Well, I see that. And when I pray, I think this is that, as I said earlier, God designed the marriage covenant to be a certain way, and that he describes in the New Testament how the man should love his wife the way Jesus loves the church, and how the wife should love her husband in a way that you would love the church. And so I do think there's a reason that when God put us together, we've talked about on this podcast before, that when we met, you didn't have a strong faith. You didn't go to church. You knew Jesus, but you weren't connected. And I do believe that part of why he brought us together was so that I could start to bring you down that path, right? And so right now, if I were to have this same thing happen several years ago, I wouldn't be as far along in my journey with Christ that I could probably lead much at all. And so while you're saying to people, I'm praying, like, just please help me, like you're begging at times, God, I still do that sometimes too. I'm also in a place of like, all right, God, please today give me the words of wisdom to show up for my wife in the way that she needs me, that for my children, so that I know what to say to them, so that I can lead them well when Angie is strong or weak. And I think that we can, we'll be able to continue to grow that way together, to where your prayers maybe won't always be pleading, right? Maybe they'll someday be that same way. And hopefully my prayers will continue to evolve, and we'll be praying for each other. Well, we do on occasion pray together. And I think that those moments are powerful. Really
praying together. I feel like you pray and I say amen at the end.
I mean, for me, it's it takes a lot of bravery for me to actually pray out loud with you.
No, I know, right? It is. I'm just kidding. It is praying together.
I was going to say, like, it's very hard. Kidding, so I feel like it is together, because I'm giving my heart.
I hope he didn't want me to say anything, because
I really 5
words.
I'll be honest. I'm saying words and praying, going, God, I hope she doesn't think I sound like an idiot. So, so I know that's why I say we pray together, because I don't expect you to pray. I expect you to say amen, and I know we're good. But all right, well, we won't keep rambling, but we are grateful to see family this week and to hear from many people. I'm sure that we'll continue to hear from people this week. That is a surprise and a blessing when that happens. And so just know that, Hallie, we are thinking of you. We love you. We miss you. She already knows that. But to everybody else, hug your kids, hug your family, tell them that you love them this week.
Take the pictures and the videos, even when you don't want to. Take the damn picture.
That's right. Guys, have a wonderful week. You have a happy Thanksgiving, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.